to the Happy Wife School Show. It is very good to be here. We are talking today about what is a wife. So I'm excited to get into that today with you. Please let me know in the chat that you can hear me, see me. Everything is coming through okay. I have a couple of announcements before we get started, per usual. First is no live show next Saturday. I believe that's April 12th, I think April 11th or 12th. But I will be visiting my parents and enjoying Thunder over Louisville next Saturday, which is an air show they put on to start Derby celebrations for the month of May in Louisville, Kentucky. So I'll be there with my parents. Looking forward to that. Also, if you like to listen to the Happy Wife School Show, these Saturday long form content videos in podcast format, please go follow the Happy Wife School on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and you can catch the live show every Wednesday. We post the newest episode on Wednesdays if there is a new episode, unless I'm gone. And if you happen to follow me on Spotify and Apple, if you could please give the show a rating, that would be wonderful. I would appreciate it so much. That helps it get out to more people, and it balances out the people out there who are not a fan of what I'm doing and my message. So if you can give the show a rating on Spotify or Apple, I would appreciate it very, very much. And then lastly, I always like to point you guys in the direction of my colleague Josie's YouTube channel, Beyond Remission, A New Era of Permanent Healing. Josie teaches emotional medicine as the answer and solution to heal from autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses. So if you or someone you love or know suffers from autoimmune, such as fibromyalgia, hypothyroidism, Graves' disease, rheumatoid arthritis, please consider looking at Josie's channel and hear what she has to say about how to permanently heal from autoimmune and chronic illnesses being things like ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, chronic pain. Josie herself healed from 8 autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses and has been fully healthy now for over 8 years. And has an incredible story. So please go check out her channel. She's very close to 1,000 subscribers. So if her message speaks to you, please consider subscribing. Let's get her to 1,000. That would be amazing. So with all that being said, I'm going to check that you guys could hear all of that. And then we'll get started on the topic. And while I'm loud and clear, thank you so much, Steve and Phil. Phil, I appreciate you so much repeating the loud and clear so that I catch it. Phil knows that I don't do so great with the chat. And he was wonderful last week. Before I get on the topic, this reminded me, Phil was awesome last week to keep posting a question that I believe Salty, your son Logan, asked. And I still, even though Phil posted it, I think like 10 times, I still didn't see it. So I have copied and pasted that question so that I answer that at the end of the show. And I'm actually going to make a note real quick so that I don't miss that I have it in my email box so that when I go to see Phil's questions to me, I don't miss that. So I'm going to answer that question. And Phil, like I said, I just really appreciate how often you repeat things so that trying to get me to see it in the chat. And Steve, all the joy and encouragement and welcoming people in and being there helping Phil out to boot the trolls and the people who aren't here to support the channel and be part of a productive conversation, even if there are disagreements, which are welcome. So thank you guys very much for all you do every Saturday. So, all right, we're going to get into what is a wife. I'm really excited to talk about this today because there's been no greater joy in my life than really embracing the role of being a wife and growing and learning as a woman in my marriage alongside my husband as a wonderful man. And I am speaking to the ladies today. speaking to the ladies today, that I have recently, the reason I wanted to talk about this, I've recently been working with a young woman who is newly married and a new wife, and I've been mentoring her on all that I wish I had known when I first got married. I was very fortunate that I met my mentor and began learning this path within a year of getting married. And then I was married probably a year and a half before I started to really dive in to my woman ways and all that I talk about on the channel. So I do feel very fortunate in that, and very fortunate to mentor this young woman to give her a healthy foundation right from the get-go. And even I was working with her before she got married. And so I've been helping her to embrace the role of a wife and what it means to be a wife, and the lifestyle changes that come with being a wife, which is where we are ultimately going to go today. 5 lifestyle changes a woman must make when she gets married and becomes a wife. That's where we will end up. But I want to do a little teaching first to set that up. And I want to help women understand, just like I had to come to understand, that marriage only works and is only successful when, as women, we embrace the roles and responsibilities of being a wife. And again, as I've said many times, this channel is for women married to good men. Doesn't mean a good man's a perfect man and doesn't have issues or problems or things he needs to work on. But his foundation and who he is and his nature is thoughtful, loving, kind, just wants his wife to be happy. That's the nature of a good man. You can find many videos where I go in depth there on what a good man is. But it only works, and marriage only works when we embrace our roles as a wife. And for the women listening, and I know there are, thank you for the women who have been showing up each Saturday here to learn and grow and add to the channel and be vulnerable and share your own experiences. I'm very grateful to you. So I know you're out there listening today, and for those who might be new to the channel, that this episode isn't just for new wives or young women seeking to get married. This is also for older women who have been married and have been a wife for a while, that when you're married to a good man, it's not too late. And it's not too late for you. Even if your marriage is at a point where the issues have gone too far or you're divorced, it's never too late to embrace what I'm going to teach you today as a structure in your life to grow and evolve into the best woman that you can be. Because that's really what the structure of being a wife and the structure of marriage allows us to do in ourselves as women. So just like in business, I'm going to start talking a little bit about the role of a wife and what is a wife. Just like a business, when people have ill-defined roles, it creates chaos, confusion, and ultimately failure. Or if someone takes a job and is hired for one position that's well-defined and has a good job description, but that individual decides they're going to go into that position and they're going to do what they want to do or play the role they want to play, and they ignore their defined role and responsibilities they were given when they took the job, they will not succeed and ultimately get fired. So for success in marriage, and for success in marriage when a woman is married to a good man, we must understand the roles and responsibilities of being a wife. It is vital to the health and happiness of the marriage, the structure of the marriage, for the marriage to work and to be happy and successful. So we're going to define wife in that vein and put a definition to what is a wife. A wife is the role women play in a marriage that determines its success with a good man. A wife is the role women play in marriage that determines its success to a good man. With that definition of wife, I need to explain that a little bit. But I want the women listening to hear, and what I've had to hear and let in, the success of a marriage. When you are married to a good man, the success of the marriage is on our shoulders as a wife. The reason for that is a good man gets married. He takes his commitment and vows seriously. He wants the responsibilities of being a husband and what comes with that and what he will have to shoulder and burden in being a husband. It is naturally in good men. And again, when they make their vows, they take them seriously and they recognize and understand they are taking a vow and making a commitment. Not to mention that all a good man wants is for his wife to be happy. The success of the marriage falls on our shoulders as women because our woman ways that I talk about on the channel, just real quick as a reminder, and these can be covert or overt, and they are on a spectrum for us as women, which is why I don't say good woman or bad woman or anything like that. We're just women. And on a spectrum, we have these behaviors and patterns that are unhealthy that we bring into a relationship with a good man. And those patterns can be being controlling, the need to always be right, blaming our unhappiness onto our husbands or blaming our husbands for our unhappiness, being emasculating, gaslighting, manipulative, extreme selfishness. That when we don't take responsibility for our happiness as women, those are the behaviors and patterns that come out in us in lots of different relationships, but this channel is about marriage. So we are responsible. We have to be responsible for our woman ways I talk about to be in control of our experience and bring the best of us forward. And when we do that, and we embrace that responsibility and that role that we have and embrace that the success of the marriage is determined by us and how we are going to show up in a marriage, because a good man's going to be right there. When we take responsibility for who we are as women and how we show up and we're being our best, the marriage will be successful. That is why the definition of a wife is the role women play in a marriage that determines its success with a good man. And instead of being burdened by that or upset by that and triggered and that's hard and that's unfair, it's an honor. Carrying that mantle and holding yourself to a standard of being your best and being responsible for your shortcomings and the impact and power you have on a marriage and a good man, and for it to be successful is an honor and a privilege. and a role you want to embrace as sacred, and one that will offer you fulfillment, self-knowledge, wisdom, in a way that no other role, and in my perspective and beliefs, in a way no other role can give to us as women. The problem is, and unfortunately in our society, the word wife, even the word wife to a woman is derogatory, demeaning, and taken as if it's some sort of insult to us as women to be called a wife. But the duh moment here is that the title we take when we get married is wife. So we must embrace that title. We must embrace the job being wife, and embrace the responsibilities and roles that come with that for the marriage to a good man to be successful. The marriage cannot be successful, will not be successful, will fail if we deny our role and responsibilities in being a wife. It is what you become when you get married, and there are roles and responsibilities with that we must carry and fulfill for the relationship to be successful. It is a long-term, being a wife is a long-term responsibility and sacrifice of the life we had before getting married and coming together with our husband to be a team and a partnership, playing our role as women and wives. Because we are very selfish in our woman ways and self-centered. We've gotten married for the wrong reasons because of what we thought would make us happy as women, and we never took accountability for the role of being a wife, never even stopped to think that there was accountability and responsibility in that we chose to be a wife. And that being a wife and the job and role of being a wife will last the whole marriage, the whole term of the marriage. But again, we don't even like to know that we have a role as a wife and think it's demeaning. But it is actually what allows us to know and evolve into the fullest expression of ourselves as women in a way that no other relationship can teach us. And when you're married to a good man who naturally, it doesn't mean he's perfect, doesn't mean he doesn't make mistakes, but that's part of the growth together. You're both going to make mistakes. But when you both embrace, and when a good man naturally embraces his role as a husband, when we as women embrace our role as a wife, and we come together to have that dance and to be a team and work together in those differences and roles, it brings out the best traits in both of us and the God-given beauty in both of us as women and men when we embrace those roles. To embrace the role as a wife, we must make a lifestyle change. So I want to begin talking about and knowing what it is to be a wife. Now moving into talking that in order to accept and embrace the role of being a wife, we must make a lifestyle change. So what's a lifestyle change? A lifestyle change are changes in our behaviors to create the outcomes and goals that we seek. A lifestyle change is changes in our behaviors that create the outcomes and goals that we seek. And so in a marriage and in being a wife, the lifestyle change are changes in our behaviors to create the outcome we want in our marriage. Recognizing that as a wife and being a wife, the success of the marriage when you're married to a good man falls on our shoulders. It's determined by us and how we show up. So we have to make changes in our behaviors to create the success, health, and happiness of a marriage. And we never realize that a healthy, happy, successful marriage doesn't just happen. It's not just poof, there it is. It's not what we see in the movies, ladies. It doesn't work that way. That's a fantasy. If you want a healthy, happy, successful marriage, you have to make it happen. If you want a healthy, successful, happy marriage, you have to make it happen. And we do that by the changes in our behaviors to make it happen. And it will happen with a good man because of his nature. Again, doesn't mean he won't make mistakes, and you're going to make mistakes. But that's part of what marriage is and the growing and learning together. So I'd like to give an example of a lifestyle change to give some context around this and the changes in the behavior that have to happen to get the outcome and the goals of that relationship and of that lifestyle change. And then we're going to talk about 5 lifestyle changes a woman must make when she becomes a wife to get the outcome of the marriage she seeks. So the example I like to give in teaching this is the gym. When you decide you're going to make a lifestyle change to go to the gym and get into shape, if it is a lifestyle change, you're making a long-term commitment to who you want to be and how you want to live your life because of something that is important to you, in this case, your physical health. And the lifestyle of going to the gym isn't just going to lose weight or get into shape. It's this is who I want to be. I want to be a physically active person and be in shape and feel good within my physical health. So in order to make that lifestyle change, you have to make a commitment to change your behaviors to become who you want to be in that lifestyle change of going to the gym and getting the benefits of going to the gym. So some of the benefits of going to the gym: better sleep, less stress, more confidence, lose weight, feel good about yourself, feel physically strong and capable. Those are the benefits of going to the gym. So to get those benefits, we have to make some lifestyle changes, which are changes in our behaviors. So what are some of the behaviors that we have to change to make the lifestyle change to go to the gym and get those benefits? Well, we have to sit down and decide, okay, what's my plan? What are the specific times and days and amount of days that I'm going to the gym? Because we all know if you've been a person who got off the train of going to the gym and then you got to get back on the train, we all know if you just say, I'm going to start going to the gym, and you don't have a specific plan and specific days and times when you're going to go, it ain't happening. It's just not going to happen. So you have to say, no, I'm going 5 days a week. And then you have to decide, am I going to go in the morning or am I going to go in the evening? If you're going to go in the morning, the changes in your behavior, you're going to have to get up earlier. You're going to have your gym bag ready. You're going to have your lunch and the things ready for your work day. Or if you're going at the end of the day, you have to bring your gym bag with you. Make sure you have everything you need. Personally, I like to get changed at work because if I don't get changed at work, it gives me too much wiggle room on the ride home. Say I don't feel like it, which is another behavior change we have to make. We have to make the behavior change of no excuses. This is who I am and what I do, and I can't make any excuses of why I can't go. I got to go. I have to commit and follow through, which is a behavior change. And I have to sacrifice the non-gym lifestyle of going home and turning Netflix on and getting a glass of wine or a beer and let that go to prioritize going to the gym. It's not a short-term commitment. It's who I am and how I want to live my life. So as women and being wives, we have to treat marriage and being a wife the exact same way. If you want the outcome and benefits of being married, of emotional intimacy, security, companionship, feeling cherished and valued by someone, feeling loved, having someone to do life with and grow and learn through life with, and growing old with someone. If you want those benefits, then you must make changes in your behavior to create the lifestyle of being a wife. So let's talk about 5 lifestyle changes a woman must make to receive the benefits she seeks in marriage. Very quickly, before I get into these 5, it's really important, a caveat here, a nuance that we've never been taught. No one's ever taught us this. To get the benefits you seek in marriage, of a husband who's engaged with you, that you are intimate with, that you have companionship with, that you feel loved and cherished and valued. You make these changes for you, and those benefits naturally come. If you try to make these changes to get those benefits and re-engage your husband, if you've been married and you've pushed him away and he's disengaged, it will not work. You will be resentful, and he will feel it, that it's fake and not genuine. You can only make these changes and seek to be a wife and a good wife because of who you want to be and how you want to know yourself. Just like I just explained with the analogy of the gym. If you want to go to the gym as a lifestyle change, you have to do it because of who you want to be and how you want to live your life. If you try to make the lifestyle change because you want to lose weight, once you lose that weight, generally, you're going to stop going to the gym. So you have to do that just for you, for it to actually work. It's the same with being a wife and making the lifestyle change needed to be a wife and have the outcome you desire in marriage and having a happy, healthy, successful marriage. You do this for yourself, and no one teaches that. And when you do it for yourself, your husband gains the benefit, you gain the benefit, and things will change very quickly. Or if you're a new wife or a woman who wants to get married, start the marriage off this way and you'll be golden. Doesn't mean there won't be challenges. There's lots of challenges in marriage, but this gives you a roadmap to move through those challenges. So let's hop into 5 lifestyle changes a woman must make to receive the benefits she seeks in marriage. Number 1, you have to make the lifestyle change to be a part of a partnership. You have to make the lifestyle change to be part of a partnership. What I mean by that is you have to embrace the role of being a wife and the responsibilities that come with that. I'm going to give an example here of what I mean by this. The biggest responsibility and role we have in being a wife is being emotionally stable and emotionally regulated. The biggest responsibility and role we have as wives is being emotionally stable and emotionally regulated. The reason for that, as I like to describe it, as women, whether you like it or not, our emotional state and our emotional mood and how we handle that or don't handle that sets the tone for the whole family. I often describe it as that as women, we are like the sun, like the sun in the sky. We are like the sun. And our husbands and kids are the earth, and we revolve around us in our emotional mood. We set the whole tone. That's why we have phrases like, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Because it's true, and we laugh at it because it's true. So when we are emotionally stable and emotionally regulated, that sets a positive tone for your marriage and for your family unit. So that your husband and kids aren't walking on eggshells or holding their breath of who they're walking in the door to or who they're going to get when you come home. We set the tone and culture of the family. And what we want to know is that if we can go to work or go see our friends or talk with the person checking us out at the grocery store and be pleasant and nice, even if we're feeling challenged or emotional on the inside, if we can do that at work, and the other examples I gave, then we can do that at home. It's just a choice. That is the biggest responsibility that we have in our role as a wife. And there are others, but I'm not going to get into fine detail in these. I'm going to give you a couple videos at the end of this list to go watch about the other responsibilities and roles we have as a wife. But the biggest one is being emotionally stable and emotionally regulated. The second lifestyle change a woman must make to receive the benefit she seeks in marriage. Number 2, you can no longer be selfish. You must put the needs of the marriage before your own. An example which plays off of number 1 is when you come in the door. Leave your moodiness and challenges of the day at the door and be pleasant. Or when you anticipate your husband coming home, put away the challenges and be pleasant. Put away your moodiness and be pleasant. It is selfish. It is selfish to stay in your emotional moodiness in the presence of your husband and your family. It says, I don't care about you and what you're going through or what you have going on. It's about me and how I feel and the problems I have. And that is selfish. Another example of no longer being selfish, again, I'm just giving some broad examples to get the wheels turning. And then you look for how else are you selfish and don't prioritize the needs of your marriage and family. We often have an attitude about money as women that our money, my money is mine and your money is ours. We have to change our attitude about income and the finances and our family and no longer be selfish to spend what we want and be off a budget and not consider the long-term goals and needs of the family. So in letting that go, the change in the behavior, remembering that a lifestyle change or changes in our behavior, the change in the behavior is stop ordering Amazon every day. Stop buying brand name clothes and makeup and hair products. Can't get your nails done every week. Of course, some might have the financial freedom in that, but the average everyday person doesn't. But yeah, as women, we will still act like we have all the money in the world and that we're very wealthy when we're not. So you have to have a common financial interest of creating financial security for the long-term benefit of the marriage, which means you need to make changes in how you spend your money and put your marriage and family before your selfish wants. Because a lot of what we spend money on as women aren't needs. They are wants and luxuries. So that's an example of no longer being selfish and putting the needs of the marriage and your family before your own. The third lifestyle change a woman must make to receive the benefit she seeks in a marriage. Number 3, you have to care for yourself so that you have the energy and resilience to navigate the challenges of marriage and having a family. Number 3, you have to care for yourself so that you have the energy and resilience to navigate the challenges of being married and having a family. Unfortunately, the majority of women, once we get married, we stop taking care of ourselves. We let ourselves go. Maybe putting on a lot of weight. We stop wearing makeup, stop doing our hair, wear sloppy clothes. So we have to continue to take care of ourselves. One, to feel good about ourselves, and to show our husbands and our family in the marriage that they matter to us. When you don't take care of yourself, the message you are sending your husband is, I don't care about you. It's another way that we are selfish. So you have to prioritize your health and emotional well-being. So things like going to the gym or engaging in a regular physical activity that you enjoy and can commit to. Not running on empty. You have to spend time to fill your cup and recharge. You have to make the change in your behavior. Again, lifestyle change equals changes in behavior. You have to change your behavior that you can't do everything for everyone else and your kids and then have nothing left to give your husband in the marriage. They come dead last. Everyone else, the stranger at church you barely know, gets more attention and care than your husband. And that's not right. So we have to make the change. You can't do everything for everyone and then run on empty and have nothing left for your marriage and your husband. I'll share a real quick story. As you guys know, I wasn't feeling well last week and was coming over a flu, which meant I didn't get to what fills my cup and what I enjoy so much is swimming laps. And I swim laps typically about 4 to 5 times a week, and didn't happen. And I could feel it last Friday night. I was like, I got to get myself to the pool. I got to swim some laps. So I told my husband before I left to come here last Saturday, I said, hey, I'm going to go to the pool after work and go swim. And he said, please do. He said, I think that'd be a really good idea. I said, oh, got it. So I went to the pool and I felt like a totally different person afterward. Recharged, plenty of energy. And so the point in that story being that your husband, as a good man, wants you to do the things to care for yourself so that you are in a good mood. As women, we get into the story in our heads of, I can't go take time for myself. I feel too guilty. My husband will be upset with me. My husband and kids need me. They will be fine. He would much rather have a happy, calm, peaceful woman who's caring for herself and comes home in a good mood than for you to be running on empty, crabby, part of my language, bitchy, and spewing that on everyone at home. So I'll leave that there. Number 4, the 4th lifestyle change a woman needs to make so she can receive the benefits she seeks in a marriage. Number 4, the responsibility of your marriage comes first, meaning you have to prioritize your marriage, not your social life, friends, and family. You must prioritize your marriage, not your social life, friends, and family. And family meaning your family of origin, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. So what that means, the changes in behavior that have to happen for this lifestyle change of being a wife. Stop texting and being on the phone with your mother or sister or cousin or whoever 3 to 4 times a day. No, that's not every woman, but lots of women are constantly on the phone with their mothers or live right down the street from their mothers. And it's like the mother is part of the marriage. Also means stop texting your friends nonstop all day, or having a million plans with your friends, or having a large number of friends like you did when you were a teenager and in your 20s. It's not appropriate in a marriage. You have to make sacrifices of the life you had when you made the choice to get married and be a wife. When we prioritize our social life and friends and parents and siblings and family before our marriage and our own families, we're distracting ourselves from our life with the details and gossip of other people's lives and problems of other people's lives. So we don't have to be responsible for our own. And it is highly disrespectful to your husband and your marriage and your family. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough time to be a wife, a mother, have a marriage, and working, to then fit in 40 friends and keep the same types of relationships with your family members you had before you got married. It's not realistic. It's not feasible. It's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to your husband and your family. Goes without saying, I have plenty of videos about this. When you get married, no more male friends. It's inappropriate in a marriage. On that note too, no going to bars with your single girlfriends, or inappropriate settings for trips with your girlfriends or single girlfriends when you are married. It's disrespectful to your husband. It puts you in an environment to be tempted by your human nature to go outside the marriage. So plenty of videos on why women shouldn't have male friends that you can go seek out on the channel. The fifth lifestyle change a woman must make to receive the benefit she seeks in a marriage. Number 5, you have to learn to dance and allow your husband to lead the marriage and family unit. You must learn to dance and allow your husband to lead the marriage and family unit. That's what I mean by dance, is that you let your husband lead as the man and you follow in your role as a wife and a woman to come together and have a beautiful, harmonious relationship, each of you in the roles God made you to have in marriage. So that means you can no longer control everything and be devious and have devious behaviors to manipulate to get your way and undermine your husband and think you are always right. That's the change in behavior. Again, lifestyle change equals changes in behaviors. That's the change in behavior you have to make, which is challenging for us as women because we have a very tight grip on everything and need to be in control. And for those of you thinking, not me, I'm easygoing, I thought that too. So we have to take the flashlight out and look at how we are very, very controlling. I have numerous episodes on this concept too, and letting your husband lead. The best one I believe that I've done so far is called Submissive Wife, and it's episode 37 under the live tab on the channel. And those are the 5 lifestyle changes a woman must make to receive the benefit she seeks in a marriage. I would also like to direct you for other roles and responsibilities we have as a wife in a marriage. Please check out episode 11, one of my first episodes, How to Be a Good Wife, and episode 34. Again, these are under the live tab on the YouTube channel. Episode 34, 7 Things a Man Needs from His Wife. So those will also give you a good, along with this episode, round picture of what it means to be a wife and what your roles and responsibilities are in that. So the today, I always like to give a little solution at the end. Most of today's episode was a solution for women, but I also just want to say, ladies, it's just a choice. It's just a choice. Just like when we decide we want to be someone who's physically active and in shape, it's just a choice that we make, that it's important to us. And then we do what it takes to make it happen. It's the same in marriage and being a wife and showing up and embracing that role and recognizing it as an honor and a sacred privilege that we have as women. It's just a choice to say, I want to be a good wife. I want to embrace this role and do the best that I can because I deserve that for myself, and my husband as a good man deserves that too. And he's going to be right there waiting to dance with you in his roles and responsibilities as a husband. And it's just like a job that you embrace your role at your job and show up and hopefully do your best. And it's the same in marriage. And then that gets us to having the dance. In order to have the dance I talk about, you have to embrace, I hope that's clear today, you have to embrace your role as a wife. So a little bit in speaking to the men, I'd love to hear in the comments or the chat why this was helpful for those men here listening today, what you got out of this and how it was helpful or valuable to you. But in speaking to the men for a moment, and the solution for men when they're not married to a woman, because sadly, most good men are not married to a woman who embraces the role of being a wife genuinely and takes that role seriously. For the good men listening, you have to know you are not responsible for the way your wife is acting and behaving in the marriage. You are not responsible for the poor ways in which your wife shows up and behaves in the marriage. The victim story she plays out to you of how you're not fulfilling your role and the things you're doing that cause her to disengage and withdraw in the relationship and show up poorly is the gaslighting that good men fall for, that then you believe you are somehow the problem. Of course, you have your roles and responsibilities as a husband, but you need to know as a good man, even though you're not perfect, that you are well intended and naturally wired for your roles and responsibilities in the marriage. And that if your wife was reasonable and worked with you in that dance and her roles or her role and responsibilities as a wife, you would have a lovely, lovely, lovely marriage. So you must know you're not responsible for the way she is showing up. The other piece I want to talk about in this is that, again, that although some people argue with this, which I find very interesting, but men and women are wired differently. We are very different. So it's important for men listening to not project your own nature as a man onto your wife. And it's not reasonable given how we are wired, and not making excuses for us as women, but understanding that without the red pill, the truth of our nature as women and a willingness to change, that we are caught in camp victim and feel very entitled and justified in how we show up and truly, truly believe in that victim story that you are the problem. So a woman really does have to step out of camp victim into camp taker responsibility and build the skill set to have integrity and character. It is not natural to us. And that's hard for men to believe or understand, because integrity and character is something that comes very naturally to good men. But it does not come naturally to us as women. And it's something that we have to seek to change, and we have to build within ourselves, and that takes some time. So the best a good man can hope for, which you hit the jackpot if this is you, is that you married a woman who is open-minded, wants to work on herself and wants to change, and is willing to put that investment of time into herself, and then cross your fingers for how much she's going to change and how much character and integrity she can build. The goal for a good man is to see the reality of his wife and her woman ways, so that you don't fall for the traps and you stay and remain strong in yourself and take responsibility for your choice to be in the marriage, or your choice if you decide, if you're not married to a woman who's willing to work on herself and look at herself, to take responsibility for your choice if you decide to leave. So for both women and men, a great place to start is my courses. I have the Happiness Program for women and the Happy Wife Program for women. The Happiness Program is a prerequisite. And then I have the Marriage Rescue course for good men only, that gives you a roadmap on how to stay and regain and rebuild your confidence and strength as a good man so you can navigate these issues I talk about on the channel. And you can find the link to apply for those courses and learn more about them below in the description. So thank you so much to everyone for joining me today. This was a fun topic to talk about and one I enjoy very much. So I hope that it was helpful. If you found it helpful and valuable, please hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel, and consider sharing this with someone that you think could benefit from what I talked about today. And with that being said, I'm going to hop on over into the chat and take some questions. And Phil's going to send me some questions. Thank you, Phil. And then we'll wrap up here in a little bit. So, all right. Oh, what did I do? Here we go. Okay. I'm like, I hope I'm still alive. Okay, good. It says I am. All right. Oh, lots of great stuff. Thank you so much, C. Irving. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. Phil, thank you for your generosity. That's so kind. For your truths, Karen, and all the women who aren't brave enough to leave Camp Victim. Thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate that. Rhode Island Street Preaching Ministries, thank you so much for your contribution. And to Ben Wyatt, thank you very much. He says, thanks, Karen. Thank you for helping men and women. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. It's an honor to be here and doing what I'm doing. So I appreciate your generosity, everyone, and contributions. I've shared before, these are the contributions I make on my live shows often go to Adam and I going out and having a little fun. So they're very appreciated. Thank you. I'll hop back over here to the chat for a moment. And then, thank you, Phil. Phil let me know. He sent some questions. The first question that I am going to start with is going to be from Logan last week. And then I just saw an interesting comment. I like that. I think newlyweds, thanks, Rabid Gator. I think newlyweds should be dropped in the middle of the woods and made to survive and depend upon each other and trust each other. Then they get a crash course in marriage. That's funny. That's a good idea. All right. So I'm going to head over. Yeah. Thanks, Salty. What's going on? Less than 50 likes. Come on, y'all. Yeah. If you're watching and you found value, please like the video. It does help it reach more people. What did I do here? Oh no. Hold on. I accidentally closed out my YouTube studio window. Hopefully I'm still alive. I've never done that before. I think I still am, but all right. Let's see. Thank you guys for your patience as I head over to oh good, I'm still alive. Okay. As I head over to the questions here. And Phil sent me some questions, but like I said, there's a question I want to get to first that I promised I would come back to last week. So I have it saved here. Question for next week. There it is. And the question that was asked that Phil posted for me so many times and I still missed it. Laughed at myself early or later. The question is, what should a son do if he is being torn apart because of a divorce? What should a son do if he is being torn apart because of a divorce? So thank you for the question. And this is for adult young men and women when their parents get a divorce, what they want to do. And it really boils down to a couple of things. One is a common concept that I teach. So when your parents go through a divorce, no matter what age you are, it is a loss. It is a loss. So when we go through a loss, we go through grief. And grief is a very common yet very challenging experience that we have as humans because we haven't been given a very good roadmap of how to heal and overcome grief and loss. I won't go into that, but really what started me, I won't get too much into this, but really what started me out on this path and learning from my mentors, David and Peggy, was that they teach an incredible path to healing from grief and using loss as an experience in life to grow and learn from, and embracing the challenges to grow and become stronger in ourselves and to learn from the experience of life, which is a series of losses. If we think about life and we look back through life and the changes we have gone through, we don't think of it this way, but it's a series of losses. So the first piece is that we have to normalize loss. And in this case, normalize your parents getting a divorce. And what I mean by normalizing is that it doesn't take away the pain or sadness you're experiencing with your parents getting a divorce, but it helps you to overcome when we make our experience of loss, and in this case, our parents getting divorced, special and unique to us in our life experience. What that does is makes the loss really, really big and emotionally overwhelming, which then makes it insurmountable to be able to heal and move through. So the purpose of the concept of normalization is normalizing it to see your parents getting divorced is a common human experience that many, 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 many people go through in life. When we normalize a loss like divorce or even parents dying or loss of a job or loss of financial status, when we normalize loss and see it as part of the human experience, it takes it from being this big and emotionally overwhelming and allows us to shrink it down in size and see it pragmatically instead of emotionally, which then begins to allow us to go through the healing process. So we have to normalize that experience. The second piece in overcoming being torn apart from your parents' divorce is after normalizing, then when we can normalize it, because when we don't normalize it, it causes us to be in camp victim. So the second piece is, no one ever taught us, but you have a choice in how you view and move through the grief and emotional pain of your parents getting a divorce. You have a choice. You can go through it in camp victim. This has happened to me. And because of my parents' divorce, now my life is one of hardship and struggle. That's the attitude and mindset we have as a victim. And if you go to therapy in general, a therapist is going to validate you in your victim story, and then that will become your excuse in life for why you are challenged and have a life of hardship and struggle. And you will limit yourself in life and play small and be stuck in the emotional pain of your parents' divorce. Or you can go through it and can't take responsibility to, you're not responsible for your parents' divorce. However, you are responsible for your response and reaction to your parents' divorce. And knowing that, you can say and can't take responsibility, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to grow and learn and to see the reality of life, that things don't always work out and marriages don't always work out and parents get divorced. So who do I want to be in that? And how do I want to grow and learn from this experience? so that I use it to make me stronger in life. And I don't want it to be my excuse and get out of jail free card in life. Now, when I can normalize it and know lots of people's parents get divorced, how do I want to respond to it? And how do I want to show up and grow and learn from it? Then eventually over time, you'll be able to see the gifts of how you grew and learned and how this made you stronger in your parents' divorce. And that's the choice you have. That's how you overcome it tearing you apart, is you don't have to be stuck there. Yes, it's challenging, and yes, you're going through grief and loss. But with what I shared with you today, you can use that as a perspective to grow and learn through this and not let it hold you back in life, that is up to you. There's a quote that I really like from a man named Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor. And he wrote a book, I believe it's called Man's Search for Meaning, something along those lines. Help me out in the chat. I know some of you know the title of it. And there's a quote from him that says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is my power to choose how I respond and show up." I'm paraphrasing a little bit. And in that choice is my power and freedom to grow. So that the message being, you have a choice. You didn't have a choice in this happening, and you're not the cause of it. But you do have a choice in how you respond and how you're going to move forward and whether you're going to use this as your victim card or not. And it's a choice you have to make. So thank you for your patience in me answering that question. And I hope that's a helpful perspective to you. So I'm going to see if there's a couple more going a little longer today. So thank you guys for staying with me. If you got to head out, thank you so much for being part of the show today. I'm going to see if I won't likely answer all the questions Phil sent over to me, but I will see if there's a couple I can give a quick answer to, or a couple comments to read. Thanks, C. Irving. Karen is a safe space. I appreciate that. I really do try to create this to be a learning environment for everyone, and not shaming or making anyone wrong or bad. Just let's grow from these common issues. Bless you, Dean. Thank you for sharing. And I'm so sorry for your loss. My wife of 20 years divorced me for 10 years of unhappiness. Who knew? I have sent her links to your channel only to be deleted. I tried for her to love you as I do. You are awesome. Thank you so much, Dean. And again, so sorry. But now you can know the reality. If you know yourself as a good man, doesn't mean you weren't perfect, or doesn't mean you're not perfect, didn't make mistakes, as I often say and said many times today. But if you know yourself as a good man and you know you tried your best, you need to know you are not the source of your wife's unhappiness. And this is her own doing of entitlement of what she felt entitled to in her own life to go seek her happiness. And your path toward healing is rebuilding yourself, and very much even just what I shared with the young man who asked that question last week about divorce. You have a choice now in how you move forward, and learning and growing from the experience of marriage and your wife, and rebuilding yourself to create a new life and feel good about yourself and enjoy the freedom and new lease on life you have, that you can only take that perspective and can't take responsibility. So I hope that's helpful. That's a funny question. Do other women notice these woman ways in other women, but not in themselves? Absolutely. It's much easier to see what I talk about in other women or other people. And as women, we don't want the accountability to have to see it in ourselves, because we perceive seeing these behaviors I talk about as making us wrong and bad and very exposing, which it is exposing. And we will do anything as women to not have to see ourselves as wrong or bad, or having poor behaviors. So yeah, we often see it in other women, and I don't think I've done a video on this, how brutal we can be to each other as women, with a smile on our faces. So yes, we even have these woman ways with women, which is another interesting topic. And then C also asked, why do women hate to listen to you? Because I hold a mirror up and push them to have to look at themselves. So the more a woman hates me or it is defensive toward me, and what I have to say, the more she has these issues in herself, but isn't willing to look at them and be open-minded and consider the role in her part of the problems in the marriage. Thank you, James Morris. Karen's teaching has changed my marriage for the better. Blessed man. Thank you for sharing that. 50-50 are the odds, Karen says, for women to see themselves. Very much. Thanks so much, James. Thank you for your comment, Timothy. Thank you so much for your videos. It is so much of an eye-opening, and constantly being blamed for everything sucks. But it sucks even worse when the wife refuses to acknowledge her wrongdoings. It's very, very challenging. So that's what we have a saying here, where I work with my team. We didn't create it, of course, but embrace the suck to grow and learn, and to recognize you're not the problem in that, and that there's nothing you can do to make your wife acknowledge her wrongdoings, but you can accept the reality of that's her, who she is. Doesn't make it easier, but it gives you a perspective to be able to hold your own and not get caught in the gaslighting and manipulation. Demetrius, thank you. I want to say thank you. As a good man going through a bitter divorce and desiring for my wife to be happy, I appreciate this, as it gives me hope that if she doesn't choose to reconcile, there is hope. Good for you, and bless you for going through a bitter divorce. Bless you. Dean, thank you for the question. From an older man who's never led, what does it look like for a man to lead as a husband? That's a wonderful question, and maybe that will be a good idea for a video. But you can go watch Submissive Wife, that I and also Submissive Wife, and I think it's called Where Did God Go in Marriage? Not What's God's Plan for Marriage. I think that was last week. But Where Did God Go in Marriage? It's a little bit older of a video under the live tab. Watch those two for more on this question, and then I'll also write this down as a potential topic. So thank you. Yeah. And there are a couple other questions here. Thank you, John Wayne. I got John Wayne on the live. But thank you for your questions. I'm not going to get to these today, but I will copy and paste them, as I did that question from last week, and potentially get to those. So thanks for your patience in that. All right, guys. I think I'm going to just check over here real quick. Lots going on in the chat. I'm not gonna be able to keep up. Let's look at this real quick. Thank you, living near Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much for your contribution. I appreciate it. And see, Irving, collaborating with Maggie, the substitute teacher. We'll see about that. I love to talk on different podcasts that feel right to me to be on. So we'll see that as a possibility. I appreciate Maggie, the substitute teacher, being on here and visiting the live from time to time. So thank you so much for your contribution. Alice, thank you for being here. You're a woman, and Tia, that I see on here very often. I think there's another woman named Stacy that was here last week, and many others. So thank you guys for being a part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I will read through the chat later, because I like to see what's going on there. And then I'll sometimes take questions from there as well and put them into the queue. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend, a good next 2 weeks. Reminder, I won't be here next Saturday, but I'll see you in 2 weeks, and I look forward to it very much. All right. See you guys later. Bye.